Alright, and we're back with some more Serious Sam 3. Oh boy. So this is this part where I normally say... Yeah. This is gonna be one of the tougher levels of the game. Not the toughest, but it's pretty hard. I will say I'm a little tired, but not too bad. I am tired, but this will be okay. So, this is where the game basically says, okay, now you gotta reset from scratch. We gotta do it all over again. Only for a few levels. Just this level in particular, and then the next one we already have everything back. So, not a huge loss, but this is definitely a pretty challenging level because A, we're starting off with absolutely nothing again, and that is always kind of a pain, right? So, I did practice, don't worry about it, I know what to expect, I've already played this game a dozen times, but, you know, just practiced it a little bit before I went up and did the challenge of doing it, so, kind of excited for it, I really am. Now, I don't think this is a terrible level. It can be pretty annoying, but it's not as bad as it looks, because, like I said, we don't really take too long to get all the way back up to snuff. So, the most annoying thing we have to deal with is probably just gonna be not having, you know, all of our goodies. But, I'd say the hardest level is the next one. It's the second to last level anyways. This is the third to last, if you couldn't tell. So, whoo boy. So, this level is pretty easy, all things considered, except it's gonna have like a million kamikaze units in it. So, my best advice, switch over to your pistol and use your assault rifle for the most part. You want to conserve bullets, and if you don't, well, at this point in the game, it's very, the level, it's actually very dangerous to run out of ammo, and it's very easy to do so because we don't even hardly have any ammo as it is. So, I strongly recommend just using your pistol for the kamikaze units. Unless it's an absolute necessity, you do not want to do that. I mean, this level doesn't skimp on ammo, but you can see I only have a few clips, so it's not really worth it to waste them on that. There's a level very similar to this in Serious Sam 4. I'm trying to remember which one it is. I think it's one of the Italy levels. Probably one of the first ones in general. But yeah, this one is pretty smooth. I actually really like the aesthetic here as well. Oh boy. So, I can say this, taking care of wearables without, you know, all of our goodies, yeah, that's a bit of a scary idea. So, hopefully I do pretty well here. I mean, I still only died one time, and it was actually in an off-camera thing that I scrapped. So, thankfully, you guys don't have to see that. But I also didn't die doing any of the testing recordings, but, you know, things can happen. The hardest enemy in the game, by far in my opinion, has to be the, you know, Witch Bride, obviously, because, well, it's the fucking Witch Bride. That's all there is to it. So, I wouldn't say this is a very difficult, like, part of the game, but you know, this sounds crazy, but I don't even think the last level is very hard. I think the next one's actually much more difficult. And it's also because I think the last level is actually very well paced. My only gripe with it is there's actually too many kamikaze units, but this is expected. I mean, you know, how long can you make a Serious Sam game? I know some players consider Serious Sam to be, 3 to be very short, but I think it's actually a pretty reasonably length game. I think it's the Goldilocks approach, right? It's just the right amount of gameplay for me. It's not, if you cut out the entire intro as well, it's still a pretty lengthy game, and I quite, you know, respect that. I don't want a game to go on for 8 million years, right? You see, I'm gonna go off of my game ranting shit here. So, one of the reasons I like old school FPS games and stuff, primarily over other genres of games comparatively, is because I think a linear, well-made game is actually more fun than an open world, like, you know, free roaming kind of game. I actually don't like open world games at all. The only ones I actually enjoy is probably, when it actually works, Saints Row 2 and RuneScape. And I don't really consider RuneScape an open world game. It's more like some form of torture, but I absolutely, you know, I don't think open world substitutes for more gameplay. It's usually just more gameplay, but just spread much more thin, and it just ends up being longer, and I don't think that equates to always good. I actually don't really think a game like Serious Sam promotes open world gameplay, and that's just my opinion, but you know, whatever. I don't think people understand at times. Open world does not equate to better. It's like when they made Breath of the Wild and everyone acted like it was like some brand new thing, and I'm like, it's been done before with other games, it just has Zelda on top of it, right? But, I mean, there was talk that Serious Sam 4 was going to be open world, and I really didn't want that. I was like, you know what, why does anybody want that? Like, do you really think this kind of gameplay is facilitated by that kind of, like, game, right? I just don't get it. I wish I saw the appeal in open world. It just doesn't pace well. It just takes longer to do what should, you know, be done pretty quickly. I'm not saying they're perfect or inherently flawed, but there's a lot of flaws with that design that really does... It just sort of turns me off, right? Like, I don't have, like, all the time in the world to play a game. I actually enjoy RuneScape a lot because it's very routine-based when you're playing it. Ow. It's not like, you know, World of Warcraft, where it's so much commitment that you absolutely have to commit time to playing it. RuneScape has a lot of mechanics that are very simple, and yeah, it's technically an open-world MMO, but there's so many little things that you get to do in it that are very cyclical, and I think that's what makes it very, very fun. Like, a lot of people hate the grind. I personally enjoy it. I know that's insane, but oh shit, I did not do that on my test. So like, I actually enjoy a grindy game. I know that sounds weird, considering, you know, the average human being... Jesus, I am clowning this up pretty bad here. The average human being does not want to spend X amount of hours on a task, right? But I think RuneScape is so simplistic, but your simplistic long-term goals will give you a long-term benefit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, doing a farm run every single day, like, at least just once, will give you enough herbs, even if you're not an Iron Man, to do, you know, anything. Like, you can make a ton of strength pots, you can make a ton of, like, agility pots, whatever you're doing, right? All those herbs and stuff you're getting... the jibs just kind of fell down there. All those things you're doing have some sort of benefit later on. And, like, farming, for example, I have 99 farming. I want to see if there's more health back here. I really don't want to go up there with this little health. This next part's really dangerous. So, like, 99 farming, if you went from 99 farming and didn't sell anything on the GE, right, you'd have so many more... God, I wish I didn't do that, too, because... Oh, the amount of... I'd probably actually be at 99 herb right now if I actually did that, which really burns me, because... Oh, it's pretty useful. Like, having 99 herb lore gives you, well, not even 90, I think it's 92, isn't it, for super combat? Like, and that, if you just didn't, you know, sell all your, like, super strength, super attack, super defense, you could just combine them with a Tortsel, and then you have, you know, effectively 3 inventory spots in one. You have a lot of handy shit for Slayer when you do that. There's so many things in RuneScape that stack onto each other. For me, it's just doing content in bursts, right? Like, my daily routine is, you know, get up in the morning, plant seeds, for like farming contracts, go to work, and then by the time I get home, or sorry, get to work, by the time I finish doing about an hour of work, my first contract is done. I just plant a new seed, and you know what I mean. And throughout the day, I take a few 5 minutes in between some of the stuff I do at work. I check, I plant new seeds. So every few hours, I'm still getting something, right? Every day I cash in for battle stabs. Every day I cash in... Or sorry, I don't cash them in, I just collect them, right? Until I actually don't even, like, buy anything until I absolutely have to. All my seeds and stuff I get from, like, seed packs and mobs and... You know what I mean? It's a long-term investment. Like, but here's the catch. So, whenever I have to do something like a quest, I have all the supplies ready. I don't have to really do anything on the GE. I already know what most of the supplies are. I already have all my skill checks ready. I just go in. I'll do like 3 to 4 quests in a session, and then just do it again later on. So, one thing... the other thing is, like, let's say on my lunch, if I have nothing better to do, I'll just talk to a few people and do whatever. But if I'm out in town, and let's say I'm, like, waiting, like, at a, I don't know, like an office or something, I'm waiting, I can just open up RuneScape and just start, you know, fucking creating pots out of unfinished pots, or combine herbs to make unfinished pots to store for later use, right? So, when I'm editing videos, I actually have RuneScape open, and I'm actually doing other things. I'm usually doing woodcutting in the guild. I have 94 woodcutting as of right now. So, yeah, I'm always doing something. And all those bows I'm getting from Fletches, I'm just basically... Well, sometimes I do redwood shields. And then if I'm doing something like watching a documentary, or I just want to watch some stuff, I'll just high elk or something, right? So all the things I'm doing, I'm building up, right? And I also do weird shit, like I like to get like a clue scroll heavy monster, like hellhounds. Well, that's all you really get. And what I'll do is I won't actually open up all the caskets until after the task, because I really like that feeling of being like, oh shit, here we go, you know, let's see what we get. To me, that's one of the most satisfying things in RuneScape, and then just watching, okay, what did I get from all this? And then, you know, there's just little things. It's a very response to what you're doing and what you're needing. Like, let's say I want to go get, oh, I don't know. I want some agility, right? So I'll just watch something like a documentary and just train agility while I do it. It's very, very, like, burst-heavy gameplay, right? If I want to go do something crazy, like let's say I want to go do barrows, I'll buy 50 barrows tablets and get some, you know, staff charges and go do it, whatever. So I'm always doing something, and it's always building up to doing some other event, right? So that's why I think RuneScape is a bit different in terms of it being altogether... Oh, hell, I forgot about this. There we go. That attack doesn't do very much damage, by the way. It's just incredibly annoying. I'm pretty sure there's a Devastator in the, like, area right here. If not, rockets work. It's not gonna, you know, cost you any sleep here. Maybe not. I'm thinking of another part. But, yeah, I don't really, you know, like open world as a concept, because you're just trying to finish the game. I know that sounds crazy, but... And then, you know, it's like, oh, well, save up and do all the side content, and then plow through the game, right? So that's what I tend to do. And I just don't want to have to do that. Like, I don't know. I'm very finicky about time sync games. It's very difficult for me to want to find one. I used to play... Oh, what was it? I played a shitload of Oblivion, and I also played a shitload of Morrowind, but I've played comparatively little, like, what's it called? Skyrim. I've actually played through Skyrim 4 times, and I'm talking like 500 hours each, right? And I never enjoy it. I just can't get into it. It just feels too shallow. I don't know how to explain it. You just get in a weird gameplay loop, but it doesn't feel good. I can't explain it. I know RuneScape is terribly addictive, but still. Actually, RuneScape's just manipulative, I think is the better word. It's all the little things you do add up to doing something else over time. Which is, like I said, it's like micro-bursting gameplay. You just want to do certain actions repeatedly. Whereas in like a, you know, big open-world game, you're just doing long, repetitive side stuff until you eventually can get to do the mainstream stuff. And then you just plow through it. It's just not the same, and I can't explain why. Maybe it's hypocritical. I don't care if it is. It's just I can never get into open-world games. Like, I struggle to get into new games in general because I want to learn them. That's the problem, and that's also one of the many reasons I just don't like open-world games as much as a linear experience. I can safely tell you I played this game like over a dozen times, and I can tell you exactly how each encounter plays out, what weapon is ideal, you know, what enemies are the most annoying, right? I can tell you exactly, in comparison to the other games in the series, what makes this one different than the others, and, you know, to me, that's what I like in a game. I like being able to explain it, I like being able to learn it. It's like speedrunning, you know? It took me... oh, I don't even know. I have it on my phone, my actual current Quake speedrunning time. Let me double check that real fast. No, not that. I actually do have my Quake speedrun time. My personal best is 28:16. That was on 10:26:21, and the world record is 11:47. So that's a comparative to how long I've actually practiced, and that time gets shorter each time I play. So, you know, I can learn the game. I can actually learn to do it quickly. I can learn to just understand how the game's mechanics work. That's how I'm able to actually mod Doom, is because I'm familiar with the engine, I'm familiar with the game. I don't really feel that same sense in like an open world game, and it's not like... the problem is, open world games require so much time sink. Even if it's, you know, like I always say, I do a game at least 3 times minimum before I actually LP it, because I don't want to give you guys poor quality content, right? You can determine if it's poor if you want, but I really, really, really can't stand when people post a game blind. I don't know why. It's something about it really bugs me, because a lot of it is like, you're playing a game for entertainment, you should already know what you're doing. And to play devil's advocate here, when Binding of Isaac Rebirth came out, I jumped into it after I'd actually had experience. I'd played over, I think at that point, like 400 hours of, you know, standard Isaac. And so... and I actually cleared, I think, my first, like, what, 5 or 6 recorded runs without dying. And that was amazing. Like, and I didn't even start comfortably recording Binding of Isaac runs until I started being able to clear the game. So, my point is, like, well, God, those videos are so old and terrible, but my point being, I had prior experience before, since it was technically just the same game with different things. The patterns and stuff are all the same. I learned all the algorithms the game had generated. Like, I knew what items would spawn in what pools. Even though there was new items, I still knew inherently what would happen. Like, you know, how to deal with the devil, deal with the angel worked. I already knew all that, right? And just seeing the new stuff and adapting to it, which is not terribly hard to do. I can't stand when people play a game and have absolutely zero idea what the hell's going on in it, and they're just complaining, oh, this is broken, this is toxic, this is terrible, or whatever, and oh, it really gets under my skin. I just can't do it, and I don't want to be that guy, you know? Like, playing through Black Mesa blind was admittedly a terrible idea. That was my least favorite series I've ever done. I don't think I'm ever going to delete it because I still think it's so indicative of why I record a video after I played the game. Because I was in a bad mood, I was really not feeling it, I was having a lot of emotional issues that day. It was just really, really awkward. I hated doing it. And the end of the day, I'm not being a dick, it's just I hated that video series. It was incredibly, like, tense. I got mad. I was looking at my phone too much because I kept getting texts. I actually stopped talking to the person. This sounds so shitty, but this was like years ago. I actually got mad at that person for interrupting my video because I was just incredibly pretentious and shitty. So, my point now, it's one of those things where I just think, you know, I'd rather just know what I'm doing, right? It's more entertaining to watch me play through a game, I hope, that I'm very comfortable with, I'm very familiar with. Like, I don't want to give you guys a bad time, right? You don't want to waste your time watching me struggle on something for, like, an hour. Which, by the way, this series, I'm going to end it with me doing the last level in complete silence. Like a classic, like, no commentary moment. Because I just want the gameplay to shine. Because I think if there's one thing I love about this game is the atmosphere and the feeling and the general cool badass nature of the last level. And so I'm going to let you guys see that without my commentary. So I mean, I planned it, but I was debating on doing it. And I thought, but then I thought, yeah, it's just cooler. It's more cinematic that way. I get to explain. You can just see why I like this game so much at the end, is what I'm trying to say. Because a lot of, you know, people in the Serious Sam community have very mixed feelings. I'm not going to try and change your mind. Like, if you don't like the game, you don't like the game. Oh, you bastard. That's like trying to tell me, you should watch anime, even though I hate anime. So, it doesn't work that way. And I don't expect to change your mind if you don't like this game. So, but I do like to show off that it is a very competent and polished shooter, especially for when it came out. So, I mean, that's just something I like. I truly do like to live up to the machinima part of my name, and that a lot of my content can, you know, appear like it was, oh, that's so artsy and cool, because that's what my name actually stems from. But yeah, I mean, that's also why I do my MK videos in silence when it's an arcade run, because I like you to feel the tension, right? You don't... It would be weird if I was just trying to say, oh, look, there's me mashing X, Y, whatever. Like, it doesn't mean much, right? It's more cinematic to just watch me try and do it myself without actually, you know, doing that, right? So, I think it's just cool. I like the idea. I absolutely love the derpy death animations in this game. They're really good. So, that's that level down. I'll see you in the next one.